Good morning. Good morning, traders. How are you all doing today? Karibuni sana. Glad you could all join us this fine Thursday morning. Hope everyone is doing well today. Hope everyone had a great day as well yesterday. So, for those who are new, my name is Mitch Kanyaro and I'm a trader with Afriforex. I want to welcome you to another Afriforex daily analysis session. Now, during these sessions, we as the Afriforex team analyze the markets, we identify what trading opportunities we're looking at taking for the day, and we do share that information with you. So feel free to have, at least if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat box. The team will be there to respond to you, but I will also be looking to address any questions at the end of this session. So let's jump straight into it. So as usual, we'll start off with our watch list. So, so looking at our watch list yesterday and today, there has been a slight change. So yesterday, our focus was looking for buying opportunities on the euro, the US dollar, the New Zealand dollar, as well as the British pound. As you can see, and we're looking to mix and match them with the pairs on the sell side. So that's with the Canadian dollar, the Australian dollar, the Swiss franc, as well as the Japanese yen. Now, today, we will still be looking for buys on the euro, the New Zealand dollar, as well as the British pound. However, the Australian dollar has moved to the buy side. And if you will realize, the US dollar has moved to the sell side. So that's just mainly the big change that we do end up having. And this will be our watch list for now. In terms of fundamentals, we do only end up having two pieces of news that are coming out today during the London session. So we have some Swiss franc and some euro fundamentals. Then afterwards, at least we will have an active US session. Since today being Thursday, it's the day they usually release the initial jobless claims. So we do end up expecting some good volatility during the US session. So for now, this is the watch list. So before we do end up focusing on today's pairs, let's have a look at the pairs that we did have yesterday that we're not going to be looking at today. Before we look at a few screenshots, then we will jump on to today's pairs. So we'll start off with the euro against the Australian dollar. Now, yesterday, our bias here was to look for buying opportunities. Can see the three areas that Vlad pointed out, and the fact that the price had come down quite aggressive. We were holding within this particular bias area. Now, we did want one of two things, either to get some sort of probe or price action signal within this particular area to show us evidence the price is holding. Had pointed out that there was a problem area due to the fact that the market was holding within this location. Another option was waiting for a breach, as you can see, waiting for a breach and a hold above for us to look for buying opportunities. But you can see that did not happen. When the price came to the upside earlier on, or sorry, later on during the day, it just came back in and confirmed that it was holding below. So at that point in time, there was no trading opportunity. Later on, we did end up attempting to get some sort of probe, but this seller's area kept on holding. You can see the price did manage to continue going down low. Now, even though today we might end up finding the price did end up coming back to an extreme area, and we might see it attempting to try and go to the upside. But remember, the Australian dollar has brought in strength as well. So you could easily find this market attempting to push to the downside as well. So that's the reason why this is a pair that's going to be off our watch list for today. The next pair we did have was the US dollar against the Canadian dollar. Our bias here was to look for buying opportunities, but it seems that the buys did not work out yesterday. As remember, we had pointed out we were within an area where the sellers, so we needed either a pullback or a breach to the upside. Now you can see the market attempted to break this area to the upside, but it never held. So meaning that was just a probe. And you can see the price managed to come all the way back down towards our main first buyers area. We did end up getting a few probes, and this was during the US market opening time. So we're hoping to see the price actually take off to the upside. But this was when the US fundamentals did end up changing, coming to the weak side. So unfortunately, even though it has managed to come back all the way to the main SNR, and you can see it's attempting to come up during the Asian session. Unfortunately for us today, this is a pair that could potentially give us issues today. And that's the reason why it is off our watch list. Now, the next pair we did have was the US dollar against the Swiss franc. Now, this pair did work out slightly. Now, remember, we were meant to look for buying opportunities, and the price had looked as if it had broken this particular area to the upside. So remember, we did mention we wanted some sort of pullback, showing us evidence the price is holding above within this particular area for us to look for buying opportunities. Now, you can see the price did end up showing us it was holding above. It ended up coming down, but there was some news event that did end up coming out at around 3:30 or so, where you can see the market did end up spiking quite aggressively and attempting to go up. But the fact that this area was still holding and the fact that the US fundamentals did change, ideally this pair will fall off our watch list. Even though you can clearly see it's still holding above that particular area, it's not a pair that we're going to be looking at today. So hope that's clear as we move on to the next pair that we did have yesterday, but we're not going to look at today. So we had the US dollar against the Japanese yen. Now, this trade did end up working out during the London session. You can see the price did manage to actually break this area during the Frankfurt market opening to the upside. You can see the price did manage to continue going up throughout the London session. There was a small pullback. This was during the news event at 3:30, but the price managed to spike, coming back to test this area and immediately going back up towards the main seller's area. It seems at around 4:30 during the New York Stock Exchange, you can see that US dollar weakness coming in. And that's the reason why this is a pair that we're not going to be looking at today. Now, the Australian dollar against the New Zealand dollar, we were meant to look for selling opportunities on this currency pair yesterday, and our bias was to look for sells, and we did realize that this market was within a range. So when the price was within the middle of the range here, needed either a breach to the upside, so giving us some sort of promo price action signal within the top of the range, or there was the option, since I had pointed out there was some small support and resistance area here. The price broke and held below. We could have potentially looked for sells, which you can see it did during the London session, holding to the downside at 11. Fortunately, could not get all the way to the main bias area, and you can see during the US session, so this is around 3 and 4:30, you can see the price did manage to start going back to the upside. And it seems a lot of these pairs mainly worked out during the Asian session, because you can see the price did manage to come back towards this area, the main seller's area, and is attempting to come down. You can even see it's still respecting this particular area. But remember, both pairs being on the same side, we're hoping to see a lot more Australian dollar weakness yesterday, but the fact that the Australian dollar is potentially going to show a strength, we could definitely see this market continuing within this range. And that's the reason why we will not be focusing on that pair today. Now, the next pair we did have was the British pound against the Australian dollar. Now, this kind of pair, our bias here yesterday was to look for buying opportunities. It seems that the market was not able to actually make any new highs, because remember, I did point out that there were some buyers holding the market within here, and we needed possibly a pullback, because at this point in time, due to the fact that this price right here could not necessarily go up higher to make a new high, as you can see, even though during the London session, we get the price bouncing up, attempting to go to the upside, but we never got the price holding above. And you can see that was at 3 o'clock during the US market open, showing us evidence that the price came back in and was holding below. So at that point in time, there was no trading opportunity, and you can see the US big boys did end up coming down a lot lower, and you can see it ended up coming back, or at least not necessarily back towards our main bias area. Seems like it found some sort of small support and resistance area here before you can see the price going up during the Asian session. So even though it is working now, this possibly could have something to do with the British pound pairs. But even though the trade is working out now, this is a pair, unfortunately, that is going to be off our watch list for today. So hope that's clear, at least for the pairs that we didn't have yesterday that we're not going to be looking at today. So right now, we'll end up having a look at a few screenshots before we do focus on today's pairs. So we'll start off here with George Chege. George had to see a screenshot here as always. He did manage to have a very nice buying opportunity on the US dollar against Canadian dollar. Very nice, but it seems this was much earlier. Sorry, later, or what time was this? Seems like this must have been late last night, and you did manage to have a very nice buying opportunity. The price is coming up in your favor. You can see your stop loss is still below your entry, but you do end up hoping as the price is starting to make higher highs and higher lows. At this point in time, you should be able to move your stop loss higher, or watch out for areas where sellers could potentially end up reacting from. You can see this is an area where sellers could react from. Even though there was a small reaction at that point in time, you can be able to potentially either move your stop loss there, or even within this area, because you can see this is the buyer who pushed to the upside. Now, at that point in time, if it breaks and holds above that area, then you can be able to move your stop loss, watching out for the next problem area. But still, very, very good job on this trade. So check it up, see and seeing your progress each and every day, and keep up the great work that you're doing. So also next we get Millicent. Millicent, she did manage to grab a selling opportunity on the euro against the Japanese yen. It seems like it took advantage of some yen strength yesterday. Very nice sell right there at the top. You can see the price really coming down in your favor. This is a very good sell, because you can see the price did manage to come down, showing us sellers were coming in. Rather than jumping in on your sell all the way down there, you waited for a pullback to come in. You managed to grab that sell within that support and resistance area, and you can see your trade has worked out very well. Stop loss is within a very good area, but you can see similar situation with the other pair. The fact that the market is making new lower lows and lower highs. So once it made this first low, your stop loss is there. Once it made the new low right here, then you can be able to move the stop loss a bit lower. So at least the market, even if it does manage to get back to this area, it could still potentially go down. But at least at that point in time, if it does come back in, you have basically taken as much money as the market is going to give you. So at that point in time, ideally, you will be very happy on that. Still, very good job on this trade, Millicent. Keep up the great work that you're doing as well. So next we did get Peter. Peter, you did manage to grab a selling opportunity here on the euro against the Australian dollar. Very nice sell. You can see the price coming down in your favor. Stop loss is below your entry already, but remember, as I have pointed out, you can see the seller is right here. So you've seen many times that the markets can actually end up pulling back to such areas, even just based on what you're seeing here. You had some sellers there, the price managed to come down. If you just put your stop loss there, you'd have easily been stopped out before the price goes. And we've seen that many times, at least happen many times, where the price, even though it's still coming to the downside, it comes back, stops you out before actually going. And that's the reason why we always encourage just putting your stop loss a bit above that level. So even if it comes back to touch that area, you still have the potential of actually making more money on that trade. But still, very good job on this trade, Peter. Keep up the good work that you're doing. So also next and last but not least, we did get Tony. Tony Dark, they did manage to grab a buying opportunity on the British pound against the US dollar. Very nice buy. Did grab a buying opportunity where the buyers are, it seems, after the market breached and came back down. Stop loss is within a good area, maybe putting it slightly lower. Because remember, you also want to hide your stop loss. Right here, you'll see many times that the price has touched this new location multiple times. So there's potential that it could still do that again. That's the reason why we always encourage just putting your stop loss slightly lower, just in case. Because remember, the market does sometimes spike to the downside before it actually goes. But still, very good job on this trade, Tony. Keep up the good work that you're doing and keep sending in those screenshots. So remember, guys, if you do manage to take any setups based on things that we do share, feel free to send them in to us. Our contact details are there in the video description. So let's focus on today's pairs. So we'll start off with the euro pairs, mix and match with the pairs on the sell side. Do the same thing with the New Zealand dollar, the British pound, as well as the Australian dollar. Before we do have a look at the indices, then move on to gold and silver. So we'll start off here with the euro against the Canadian dollar. Now, yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. Unfortunately, the buys did not work out. You can see the areas that we had pointed out to look for those potential buys. In fact, even had a support and resistance area here that we did need to watch out for. Now, it seems that the market did end up holding within this particular location during the London session open. We did not necessarily get any signs of big boy buyers really coming in before the market actually came to the downside, showing us confirmation to holding below. But it came back towards the main buyers area, and we did end up getting some sort of proof. And this was during the US market open, so around 3 and 4:30 during the New York Stock Exchange open. And there was a small attempt of a buy. Unfortunately, that buy could not get towards our fast moving area before it did manage to come down low. Seems that it was giving us more of a pullback, especially on a bigger time frame. Right now, we definitely need to have incited a number of people to look for those buying opportunities, selling opportunities. Because remember, if you can clearly see here, is now on the 4-hour time frame. This market has been trending to the upside, making higher highs. This is the support resistance area that we've reached, and the price has gone to the upside. You can see we have just come back to that support and resistance area, and that's the reason why we will still be looking for buying opportunities. I know most people would possibly end up focusing on smaller time frames and seeing the way the price has been coming down. Guaranteed a lot of people are looking for sells. But remember, as we keep on mentioning, in order for us to sell, we need buyers actually, in order for us to buy, we need sellers to actually come in. So this has definitely incited very many people to look for sells, and that's the reason why we will still be looking for buying opportunities, but we will be focusing on these 3 areas of interest to look for the buys. So right now, remember, if the price does not, or at least it reaches and falls below the red SNR, this pair will fall off our watch list. But right now, let's wait to see what ends up happening. We've not seen any aggressive buyers coming in just yet. Hopefully, we can end up seeing either the price coming down a bit lower, tempting to give us some sort of global price action signal before we do find the price breaking to the upside. But if it does just end up breaking to the upside and holding above, then at that point in time, you should be able to look for a buying opportunity if you are able to get the price reaching and holding above this support and resistance area. We'll wait to see what ends up happening. Right now, the sellers are still running down. We have not seen any signs that the big boy buyers are actually interested yet. But remember, you will definitely see that when they do end up coming in. So hope that's clear as we move on to the next currency pair that we do have. So right here is the euro against the Swiss franc. And yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. Now, we had pointed out these 3 areas to look for the potential buys, but remember, we were within an area where there are sellers. So at that point in time, we needed either a breach to the upside or a pullback. Now, the pullback did come in, not necessarily come in all the way to this main support and resistance area. I remember I had pointed out that there is a small SNR area here that where we could potentially find the market reacting. And it seems that's exactly where it did end up reacting from during the London market open. You can see at 11, got a very nice probe. The price ended up coming back in and holding above. So at 11, there was a small trading opportunity. But as you can see, we never managed to get the price reaching to the upside. A similar situation, the price managed to come back down. And you can see the price was back within this buyer's area during the US market open between 3 and 4:30. And it did end up attempting to go to the upside. But the fact that it could not breach again, it basically means that this price right here, where the blue support and resistance area is, was not a good enough price, and meaning we needed a better price, meaning we needed to incite a few more people to start looking for sells in order for the buys to end up coming in. Right now, you can definitely see as the price is coming down, we are definitely inciting very many more people to actually start looking for selling opportunities. So our focus is still going to be looking for the buys. Remember, it's a similar situation with the euro against Canadian dollar that we have seen. So right now, we do seem as if we are attempting to break this support and resistance area to the downside. But you have seen the price has actually done something similar before, where it's attempted to come down and it's come straight back in. So in this situation, we will still be looking for buys. So one of two things can happen. Either this price will come back in, hold to the upside, and we could potentially find a buying opportunity available for us. But alternatively, if you find the price actually holding to the downside, then we will wait to see if we can end up getting the price coming in a bit lower, inciting a few more people to look for the sells before we do end up finding our buying opportunities available for us on the euro against the Swiss franc. So hope the euro against the Swiss franc is clear as we move on to the next euro pair that we do have, which is the euro against the Japanese yen. Similar situation. Yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities, and you can see the areas that we had pointed out. Now, initially, you can see during the London session, the price was holding within the seller's area. So at that point in time, we needed either a breach or a pullback. It seems the breach is what ended up happening. You can see the price breach area to the upside. We got a pullback. The price was holding above this area at 11 o'clock, and there was a small buying opportunity during the London session. But you can see if you did end up just closing your trade at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock during the US market open, you can see at that point in time, that's when the pullbacks did end up starting to come in quite aggressively. So overall, we will still be looking for buying opportunities on this currency pair. Right now, the sellers are coming in very aggressive, which is okay. But remember, we want to incite definitely many people to look for sells. However, since the sellers are coming down very aggressive, we wait to see what ends up happening. Hopefully, we can end up getting some sort of probe price action signal to incite a few more people to look for sells before we're able to look for the buys. But remember, just try and wait to see if you can end up finding some aggressive buyers coming in. And be aware, if the price breaches and falls below this red SNR, the probability of the trade, or at least the buy working out, really does go down. And at that point in time, it will fall off our watch list. So wait to see what ends up happening on the euro against the Japanese yen. So moving on to the next and last euro pair that we do have, this is a brand new entry in our watch list. And here we have the euro against the US dollar. And here our bias is going to be looking for buying opportunities. So these are the three areas that we have identified that the buys could potentially work out from. Right now, we are getting a pullback, which is definitely what we want, but you can see the overall flow of the market is to the upside. As the price is coming down, this is definitely what could be. Have also seen that this price right here, where the price has attempted to go to the upside multiple times, is definitely not good enough, meaning we maybe need to incite a few more people to look for sells before we're able to look for those buying opportunities. So we'll be waiting to see what ends up happening. Then get some sort of probe or price action signal within this particular area, could potentially look for a buying opportunity there. But remember, the price could end up coming back down a bit lower, even though we have the main buyers all the way down within here. You can see there's also a buyers area right here where the buyers did end up also pushing to the upside. So even though we are focusing on these three areas, do watch out and see if the price breaches and holds below this area, and chances are we could be coming to either one of these two locations to end up looking for our buying opportunities there. So hope that is clear on all the euro pairs. As you can see, we'll mix and match the euro with all the pairs on the sell side. So right now we're going to move on to the New Zealand dollar pairs. So we'll start off with the New Zealand dollar against Canadian dollar. This is a pair that we did have yesterday, and our bias here was to look for buying opportunities. So these are the three areas that we had pointed out. So you can see the price during the London session was within the area where the sellers. We did want a breach and a hold to the upside, but that never happened. You can see it was just a probe, and the price actually ended up giving us the pullback. Now, if you realize the price managed to come back all the way to the buyer's area, we do note the time that is around 3 and 4:30. So during the US and New York Stock Exchange open, and you can see at that point in time, the price did actually start going to the upside. So overall, we will still be looking for buying opportunities on this currency pair. We'll basically still be looking for buying opportunities and pretty much focusing on the same areas that we did have yesterday. There's potential that this market could be in some sort of range. We're attempting to start a range. So let's hope to see if we can end up getting a pullback back within this buyer's area for us to look for buying opportunities. But there's potential that the market could go slightly lower than this. You can see there's a support and resistance area that we do have here. But remember, the whole point is to incite people to look for sells and to look for a better price. If people are not willing to buy at 0.821, they might be willing to buy at 0.82. So we wait to see what ends up happening. So you might find the price spiking all the way down. Then you could find aggressive buyers coming in. But overall, remember, our bias here is still going to be looking for buying opportunities. Let's wait to see whether or not we can get that pullback or the price potentially reaching to the upside and holding above for us to look for those buys. So hope that's clear as we move on to the next New Zealand dollar pair we do have, which is the New Zealand dollar against the Swiss franc. Right here, our bias is to look for buying opportunities. So these are the three areas that we had pointed out yesterday to look for the buys. Let's adjust this slightly. So you can clearly see yesterday there was nothing much that did end up happening. We did have this area here where we did want either a breach and a hold to the upside for us to look for the buys. Now, that did not happen during the London session, and during the US session, it's a similar situation. We did end up attempting to do that later on. But here during the Asian session, we can clearly see the prices are definitely giving us a pullback. Now, as you're seeing this price coming to the downside, we have realized, or I don't know if you've realized, that if you look at the other pairs that we've had a look at, there could be some sort of reaction happening with the Swiss franc pairs. You can see the New Zealand dollar against the Swiss franc coming down. Remember, we also saw the euro against the Swiss franc coming down. So it could have something to do with the Swiss franc fundamental, or at least the Swiss franc news. Because remember, we do have some fundamentals coming out at 10:30, just 30 minutes into the Frankfurt market open. So that could end up bringing some movement. This could just be inciting people to look for the price within, or at least look for an entry within a better price. So you could find the price attempting to come down, inciting few more people to look for the sells before you do end up finding the buying opportunities coming in. But remember, if we do end up getting some sort of probe, this could just be there to incite people to look for sells. The price is able to breach and hold above. Then at that point in time, we should be able to also look for buying opportunities here on the New Zealand dollar against the Swiss franc. So hope that is clear as we move on to the next New Zealand dollar pair. Right here, we have the New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen. Here, our bias is to look for buying opportunities, and it was the same situation yesterday. You can see the areas that we had pointed out where the price was within the seller's area. So we needed a breach and a hold to the upside. Now you can see the breach happened during the London session. We're hoping to see a pullback coming in during the US session, but it seems that the movement was mainly during the London session. You can see at 4:30, that's when the price was right there at the top. We ended up getting a pullback, and the price did manage to come back to test this area, and you can still see the price still managed to get all the way to that top area. So today, the bias here is still going to be looking for buying opportunities, but we'll be interested to see what is happening with these yen pairs. Because remember, we've also seen the euro against the Japanese yen, and it also does seem to be coming down quite aggressive. So we'll find out what's happening with the yen pairs. As you can clearly see, they do seem to be coming down. But remember, they are very much correlated. So if you find the markets reacting, maybe even you end up getting some sort of probe within this particular area, and you find that happening on all of them, then you could end up finding a buying opportunity. But for right now, since the sellers do seem to be coming down quite aggressive, especially if the price holds below, then we will still be looking for our buying opportunities within this support and resistance area. So hope that's clear on the New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen. As we move on to the next and last New Zealand dollar pair we do have, which is the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. Now, these are brand new entries on our watch list, and our bias here is to look for buying opportunities. So overall, we will be looking for these buying opportunities based on these three areas. You can clearly see also a similar situation here with the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. Even though the price did manage to go to the upside, we are starting to get a pullback. Now, the question is, this level has not yet been broken to the downside. We want to see if the price could still come back in, hold to the upside, and we could end up finding a buying opportunity there. But be aware, if the price comes down and still holds below, then chances are we could still be coming back down towards this main buyer's area before we're able to find those buying opportunities. Could have been in some potential range. Maybe this is some sort of probe, and you could find that the market could still be within the range. And if that's the case, the best place to look for the buy is at the bottom of this particular range. So hope that game plan is clear on the New Zealand dollar pairs. As you can see, we'll mix and match the euro and the New Zealand dollar. Right now, we're going to move on to the British pound pairs. So we'll start off here with the British pound against the Canadian dollar. Now, yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. It is still going to be the same thing today. And you can see, unfortunately, yesterday, there were hardly any buying opportunities, just maybe during the London session, because you can see this was during the Frankfurt market open at 10. You can see the price attempted to go to the upside, came back to this support and resistance area, and the sellers quickly rejected that particular area, and the price did manage to come down. So I wanted to see what kind of reaction would happen within here. But once the price breached and held below, as you can see, it kept on holding to the downside, and this was during the US market. And at that point in time, there was no trading opportunity just yet. But you can see the price did manage to come close towards this particular area where we did end up having the main buyers. So overall, we'll still be looking for buying opportunities on this pair. Remember, as long as we're holding above the red support and resistance area, our bias is going to be looking for buying opportunities. So right now, even though we are going to be looking for buys, it might not be the best time to look for them, especially if you compare how these buyers are coming in. They don't necessarily look as if they're coming in very aggressive. So it's either waiting for a pullback to come in where you could find the sellers still coming back in to the buyer's area before we end up finding the buying opportunity coming in, or we could easily find that this price is able to break and hold above this area. Then at that point in time, we should be comfortable looking for a buying opportunity as well on the British pound against Canadian dollar. But right now, since we've not yet seen the big boys, I would advise just being on the sidelines, just being a bit patient, waiting to see what you need to see. Once the big boys come in, then you definitely know that's a trade you can be able to jump on. So hope that's clear. Moving as we move on to the next British pound pair. So right here we have the British pound against the Swiss franc. Now yesterday our bias was to look for buying opportunities. Still the same situation today. So you can see the three areas that we had pointed out. Now it's a similar situation with the other British pound pairs where we can see we did end up having some support and resistance area here that I also had pointed out. That's exactly where the price was. So we needed either more of a pullback to come in, which is the area where we're hoping that the price is going to come back to. But you can see it just ended up holding within this first support and resistance area during the London session. And the market did manage to actually go to the upside, coming back towards this main sellers area. Now, during the US session, the price was in an area where the sellers, so there was not a good place to look for your buying opportunities. Now, even though later on the price did end up attempting to go to the upside, we can see the price has just managed to come down, especially when you end up going up to a higher time frame. You will be able to tell that it is just a probe, and you can clearly see how many times this area has been probed. You can clearly see it's definitely a major support and resistance area. So overall, our bias here is still going to be looking for buying opportunities. But I think it's a similar story with the other British pound pair that we've had a look at. Potentially, if this price was not able, or at least not good enough for it to actually make a new high, then we definitely need a better price than this blue SNR. So don't just necessarily start jumping in on buys because we're back within this area. Most people who are jumping in on buys, all their stop losses are below here. So don't be surprised if the price is actually able to do the strategy what we're hoping to see yesterday, getting the price breaching and holding above this particular area. We do end up seeing that, then we should be able to look for buying opportunities within this SNR. Remember, as long as we're holding above this red support and resistance area, our bias is to look for buying opportunities. And if we are able to get the price convincingly breach this area and hold to the upside, then we should be able to look for buying opportunities as well on the British pound against the Swiss franc. So hope the game plan is clear. This is what we're looking at on the British pound against Swiss franc. As we move on to the next British pound pair we do have, right here is the British pound against the Japanese yen. Our bias yesterday was to look for buying opportunities, and the buys did work out very nicely during the London session. Similar correlation that came in with majority of the yen pairs, where you can see the market did manage to break this area to the upside, hold above, and that was at 11 o'clock, just as the London market was opening. And you can see the London big boys did manage to continue taking the price all the way up higher. Remember, making sure to manage your trade within the market opening time. So if you either manage at 3 or at 4:30, you can see you'd have closed the trade right there at the top before the price actually started coming down. So overall, today the bias is still going to be looking for buying opportunities. So these are the areas that we have identified. Remember, with the yen pairs, we are seeing them pushing to the downside. So you can be able to use correlation to identify whether or not you can end up finding a nice trading opportunity. So let's hope to see. You can end up getting the price coming back in and holding above where it ends up being a probe. You could end up finding a buying opportunity there. But alternatively, we could end up still getting the price coming down a bit lower. within the main buyer's area before we're able to find those buying opportunities coming in for us on the British pound against the Japanese yen. But remember, have a look at the other yen pairs. You can see all of them pulling back. Due to the fact that they're all pulling back, then you can be able to use that. Once you see them maybe reacting, one pair reacting, you can be able to look at the other pairs to see if you can be able to find some potential trading opportunity on the yen pair. So moving on to the next and last British pound pair we do have, the prime international watch list. Right here, we have the British pound against the US dollar. So our bias here is to look for buying opportunities. So you can clearly see the price did manage to make a new high. We've just broken, or at least look as if we've broken a major support and resistance area. So overall, we want to see whether or not we can end up getting this pullback coming in, which is coming in slowly, which is definitely what we want. And when I mean by slowly, you always need to compare one with the other. So if you look at how the buyers came in within here, pushing to the upside, you can see those are very strong candles. But now compare and also look at how long it took for them to do that. But now compare how long it has taken for the sellers to come down and look at how they're coming down very slowly. That's definitely what we want. We want the sellers to come down struggling, but we're not necessarily just going to jump in just yet. We need to see signs that the big boy buyers are actually interested as well. That's the reason why a number of times you always keep on hearing us talking about probes, because if you do end up finding something of the sort where the buyers show their aggression coming in, then at that point in time, you should be able to find a very nice buying opportunity available for us on the British pound against the US dollar. But remember, if the price breaches and holds below this SNR, chances are we could be coming down a bit lower for us to look for our buying opportunities there. So hope that that is clear on all the British pound pairs. So you can see we've mixed and matched the three pairs we have there on the buy side, with the pairs on the sell side. So right now we're going to move on to the last kinds of pair we do have on the buy side. Then we will focus on the indices, then gold and silver. So right here, brand new entry on our watch list. We'll start off here with the Australian dollar against the Canadian dollar. Now, our bias here is to look for buying opportunities. One thing you'll realize, so the main thing we've identified is the main buyers being all the way down within this area. But if you realize the market structure, we do seem to be in quite a choppy range. When I mean by choppy, you can see how many times this market has probed, breaking this area to the upside, inciting very many people, all the breakout traders to end up entering trades and potentially losing those trades. So due to the fact that that's the case and we are still within a range, then definitely the best place to look for your buying opportunities is at the bottom of the range. So hopefully we'll see what kind of reaction we come in. You can clearly see the sellers coming in very, very aggressive. So we will stage to still see what ends up happening. If we do end up getting some sort of probe price action signal, signs of the big boy buyers actually showing up. In fact, even if you just look at this example right here, you can see the way the sellers push to the downside within here, but look at that reaction of the buyer. There you definitely know the buyers are back, and you can see the pullback coming in much slower, coming back toward that same support and resistance area. Those are the type of probes. When you do end up seeing that, those trades do not really give you any issues. They do end up really going in your favor. So that's the reason why we wait to see what ends up happening. Remember, if the price breaks and holds below this blue SNR, remember, we will still be looking for buys, but the price could potentially come down a bit lower before we're able to look for those buying opportunities. So hope the game plan is clear on the Australian dollar against Canadian dollar. So moving on to the next currency pair we do have, which is the Australian dollar against the Swiss franc. Brand new entry in our watch list, and our bias here is going to be looking for buying opportunities. But let me just say for now, because remember, we do have some Swiss franc fundamentals that could end up changing our bias. And if it does, then this pair would fall off our watch. But for right now, we will still be looking for buying opportunities. Definitely everyone has been looking for buys. Right now, all those people who are buying, guaranteed, most people will now start thinking it's a sell as soon as even we go below certain area. So overall, we'll definitely still be looking for buys. We're definitely right now inciting people to look for selling opportunities. So it's one of two things. Either this price is going to come back in and hold above for us to look for those buying opportunities. But if it does not, where you find the price coming and still holding below, then we'll wait to see if we can end up grabbing our buying opportunities from a bit lower down within this main buyers area for us to look for our buying opportunities then. But for right now, as I did point out, if this is a car speeding down the road, you will not necessarily go in the middle or try to cross the road. Just be patient, wait for it to pass, wait for it to slow down before you're able to look for your trading opportunity. So moving on to the next Australian dollar pair we do have, which is the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. You can see the yen pairs, all of them really coming to the downside in terms of giving us some very aggressive pullback. So we'll still be looking for buying opportunities. Remember, as long as we're holding above this red SNR area. So this will be the areas that we will be focusing on. You can see the area, at least the sellers have really reacted, coming down very aggressive. All those people who are buying right now, definitely most of them are being stopped out, even if you had your stop loss within here. So wait to see at what point in time these sellers will actually slow down. So if the price continues coming down lower, wait to see what kind of reaction happens within this support and resistance area. But remember, there is the potential, remember, that the price could end up coming back, holding to the upside, where this ends up just being a probe. If we do end up seeing that, that will definitely give us a very nice buying opportunity here on the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. So we will see what ends up happening. Right now, remember, you can be able to use correlation. So have a look at the British pound against the yen. If it's still going down, then there's nothing for you to do. But if you see the buyers coming in on one, have a look at the other yen pairs. And if you do see them happening on all of them, then we definitely know there could be a potential trade setting up at that time. So moving on now to the Australian dollar against the US dollar. So now on this currency pair, we did end up having it yesterday, and we were meant to be looking for selling opportunities. These areas are pretty much still the same. And you can see the sells did not really work out, because you can't really see the price did end up seeming to be holding within this area. Remember, we did want some sort of pullback. And I had pointed out this buyer right here, who is the buyer who did manage to push to the upside. Those are the buyers you need to watch out for. And you can clearly see the price kept on bouncing within this area, attempting to break this area to the downside, but could not. You can see at 3 during the US market open, you're not managing to get the price coming back in within this particular area, potentially end up getting a better price. So right now we end up, or at least the price does seem to be working during the Asian session. But remember now today, the fundamentals have switched. So we will basically be looking for buying opportunities. So we'll be waiting to see what kind of pullback is going to be coming in. You can see on the Australian dollar against the US dollar, overall bias is to the upside. And this could have just been a pullback. The price has come back to challenge this main seller. So right now, as we're getting this pullback, we'll wait to see at what point these sellers are going to die out and where the buyers are actually going to come in. One thing we do know is the fact that when the market ends up coming down, the fact that it's made this low, the hope is that this market cannot actually make any new lows. You can see how many times it has attempted to actually come down, but it has not been able to. So right now, even though the price is coming down low, we want to see what ends up happening within one of these buyers' areas for us to potentially look for those buys. So either could end up finding some sort of probe or price action signal coming in within this area. We do end up seeing that, because this is definitely inciting very many people to look for sells. And at that point in time, we could end up looking for our buying opportunities then. And be aware, the same blue support and resistance area, the area where the buyers reacted from before, they could end up reacting from this area again. So also just watch out for this location, especially due to the fact that today at least we're looking for buys. This could be a location where if you do find the buyers coming in aggressive, you could find some buying opportunities available for us here on the Australian dollar against the US dollar. So I hope that's clear on all the currency pairs. As you can see, we've mixed and matched all the pairs on the buy side with the pairs on the sell side. So right now we're going to move on to the indices before we do have a look at gold and silver. So for the NAS 100, for the NASDAQ, yesterday our bias was to look for selling opportunities. It is still the same situation today. Nothing much happened, because you can clearly see the fact that we're within a range did point out we want to see the price coming back within the main seller and potentially getting a better price. And you can clearly see we did end up getting a slightly better price than this, where the price came up a bit higher, maybe inciting a few people to look for buying opportunities. And you can see the aggression of the sellers coming in. And the fact that this small buyer, at least this is the area where the buyers seem to be pushing up from. And right now we are back within that area. So overall, this level is still holding, because you can see how many times it has attempted to probe this location. So overall, we'll still be looking for sales based on the same areas that we did end up having yesterday. But one thing to take note of, as you can clearly see, this buyer is the area that's giving issues. So it's either one of two things. Either we get this pullback coming in within this support and resistance area, because remember, we have gotten a probe. So chances of it pulling back to the SNR does end up being high. If we are able to get the sell there, that would be good. But if we are able to get the price breaching and holding below the support and resistance area, then at that point in time, we should also be able to look for selling opportunities then. Although that one, you might need to end up going down to a smaller time frame to read the story, so you can be able to get a better risk to reward. But we'll wait to see what ends up happening on the NAS 100. But overall, buyers here is still to look for sells. If this price is able to break and hold above the red SNR, remember at that point in time, our buyers will switch and we will start looking for buying opportunities. But right now, the price can either hold here or even pull back all the way to this red SNR. We will still be looking for selling opportunities. It's only until it breaks and falls above this area is when our buyers will switch to look for buys. So moving on to the next pair we did have, which is the US 30 or the Dow Jones. Now, our bias yesterday was to look for selling opportunities. You can see the areas that we had pointed out. We needed a pullback to come in, and you can see the pullback managed to come in. Did end up holding within this area, giving us some sort of probes. Although there was the news event at around 3:30, which did end up giving a huge spike, coming back to some sort of support and resistance area within here. Seems like just ended up coming back to test that area up to reach. But even if you missed that opportunity there, you can see when the price came back in and was holding below. If you do note the time, that was at exactly 4:30 during the New York Stock Exchange. So that would have given you a very nice selling opportunity there. You can see the price did manage to come back down all the way to the buyers. It's a similar situation. We never got the price holding below. So that being the case, our buyers here is still going to be looking for selling opportunities, and we'll still be focusing on the same areas until we are able to get one of them being breached, either the bottom level right here or the red support and resistance area here at the top. But as long as we're holding below this red support and resistance area, remember our bias is going to be looking for selling opportunities. Right now, let's wait to see what ends up happening. It's not necessarily the most convincing, but there's potential. If the price ends up holding below, we could potentially find the market attempting to come down, but don't necessarily try and target too far. Remember, this is a problem area, so you definitely need to make sure you manage your trade within there. If the price is able to come back in and hold above, then at that point in time, chances are we might need to come in a bit higher. We could be in some sort of range, and we could end up finding a potential selling opportunity there. Remember, I've also seen the NAS 100 could potentially be in some sort of range, so maybe the US 30 could be doing something similar as well. But we wait to see what ends up happening. Either hold below, we can end up looking for sells. But for us, I think, at least for me personally, I would be much better waiting for at least a higher price to be able to look for those selling opportunities on the Dow Jones. So hope that's clear in the indices as we move on now to the metals. So we'll start off here with silver. Now, silver yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities, and the buys did work out quite well. You can see the price. Remember, I had pointed out we did have a support and resistance area right there at the top. I did mention if the price is able to hold above, then definitely we should be able to look for buying opportunities. You can see at 10, the price ended up showing us confirmation during the Frankfurt market open that was actually holding to the upside. And you can clearly see the price did manage to continue going throughout the London session. We got a breach of this particular support and resistance area that I did point out to make sure to manage. And you can clearly see once the price breached and was holding above, we did not necessarily take off until the New York Stock Exchange, or at least after the New York Stock Exchange did open. That's when the price did manage to continue going to the upside. So today, the bias here is still going to be looking for buying opportunities, but our levels have changed. So these are the levels we're going to be focusing on. So as long as we're holding above this red support and resistance area, our bias is to look for buying opportunities. This market does seem to be trending nicely. We've broken a support and resistance area. We've gotten a pullback. Right now, us being back within the support and resistance area, let's see what kind of reaction we do get during either the London session or the US session. The price does not hold above this area and it comes down lower. Remember, we could still be coming back to our red SNR and we will still be looking for buying opportunities on silver. So I hope that is clear, at least on the game plan of what we're looking at doing on silver as we move on to the next and last pair that we do have, which is gold. Now on gold yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities, and it is still the same situation today. Now, yesterday we wanted to see what ended up happening or what would happen. Remember, I had pointed out the market seemed to be in some sort of range. I had pointed out the support and resistance area where it did seem to be bouncing. Wanted to see whether or not either we'd get a better price or the price actually ends up reaching to the upside. So it seems the market continued ranging throughout the London session. During the US session, you can see at 4:30, so during the New York Stock Exchange, the price was back within this buyer's area, and we did manage to get those buyers actually pushing to the upside. But you can clearly see once we did get the price breaching, there was a pullback showing us confirmation the price is holding above, and there could have been a potential buying opportunity there as well on gold. So today, the bias here is still going to be looking for buying opportunities. So these are the three areas that we would be focusing on. Right now, you can see we're at the highest point. We have not yet gotten a pullback, even especially back towards our support and resistance area. So for right now, we will be patient. Ideally, the main game plan for us would be waiting to see can end up getting this pullback coming in within the support and resistance area for us to look for buying opportunities. But be aware, even though the price might not necessarily react to things here, when you find the price coming down lower, be wary about this blue SNR due to the fact that the price reacted from there before, it could potentially end up reacting from there again. But overall, for right now, let's wait to see what ends up happening. Definitely need that pullback to come in before we're able to jump in more buying opportunities on board. So hope that is clear in all the currency pairs. As you can see, we've mixed and matched all the pairs on the buy side with the pairs on the sell side. So let's see if there are any questions on the chat box. I am not seeing any, which is okay. So once again, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. Really do appreciate it, and I hope you guys have found value in these sessions. Remember, we do have some Swiss franc fundamentals, some PPIs coming up. This is in around 30 minutes, or around 10:30 or so. And we also have some euro fundamentals at around 1 p.m. So maybe that's when you could find the euro pairs moving, could find the Swiss franc pairs actually starting to maybe show some strength. Remember, we are looking for weakness on the Swiss franc. So if it still shows us weakness, then that's okay. If it does end up starting to show us strength, we'll end up informing you on the Telegram channel. If you're not in the Telegram channel, there is a link to join. It's a free group, Telegram channel that you can be able to join. The link for that should be in the video description below. So once again, thank you guys so much. If you enjoyed this, please make sure to drop a like. Make sure to subscribe. Encourage people to actually end up watching, sharing if you know someone might end up being interested or might also find value in these sessions. So hopefully you guys have an amazing trading day. God bless. Happy trading. And bye for now. Cheers, guys.